So, you heard it was gluten-free, organic just for you. Thank you,
Hello friends, it's your half-assed reporter, The Menace, back in Chelsea, and we're gonna run in here to the Vito Schnabel Gallery and take a trip down memory lane. Stay tuned. And we want to take a look at a show by Enzo Cucchi, Mostra Coagula. Okay. Well, we'll make our cursory sweep. They're saying that this is the first show of Cucchi with the gallery, and also this is the first Enzo Cucchi show in New York in over 20 years. So when I said a trip down memory lane, most of this work is new, but as I said, I haven't seen Cucchi here in over 20 years. This is titled Suicide of the Painter, and it's 97 by 150 by 2 inches. It's enamel on that steel, or I would call it steel screen. It looks like it's got a stainless steel frame on here. I think one of the interesting things about the show is that they've got a lot of his sculpture. This is Ceramic Untitled 2024. Well, there's an awful lot of work in the show, and most of it is untitled. This is Untitled 2024, oil on canvas 72 by 76. Well, I said this was going to be kind of a tour down memory lane, and the part of that I was thinking about was that when I got to New York, 1979 was about the time that the the Trans-Avantgarde was starting to pop, maybe a year later. And so I got a chance to witness a lot of the initial press festival. This is untitled, Oil and Ceramic on Burlap. And okay, so this is 16 by 7. I'm going to kind of walk through a lot of this. Another untitled. Anyway, the story I got was that there was I think it was Arcello Bonito Olive, who was the editor of a magazine called Flash Art. This is also untitled, Oil and Acrylic with Ceramic. Anyway, they had a kind of plot, an idea about how they could get the Italian art back on the map. Well, I kind of like this one. It's untitled, 19 by 9. So after World War II, Europe had pretty much been decimated, and I like a little portrait of, I don't know who that, I would assume that's Christ, maybe not. Well, part of the triumph of American painting was the promotion of abstract expressionism as like the latest, most significant, important art movement that had happened in the world, and just happened to be centered in New York. This is untitled, Oil Ceramic on Burlap and Canvas. Oh, it looks like we've got our mushrooms in there. So after abstract expressionism, there was pop art, minimalism. Also, this is untitled, Oil and Ceramic on Burlap and Canvas. I kind of like the slashes in there. That kind of makes me think of a Lucien Fontana piece. So, minimalism, conceptualism, these are all American, and they were kind of pushed down the Europeans' throats. And at some point, the Europeans said, man, we gotta come up with some of our own art movements and stuff. And so the people at Flash Art, Olive and some other editors and curators, noticed there was a group of young painters. They ended up calling them the 3 C's, Cucchi, Chia, and Clemente. And boy, when they put on the full court press to bring these artists to New York, they really did a fantastic job. It's also untitled. This is 13 by 16. It's like all these pieces are fairly small. Untitled. Well, they called the Italians the 3 C's, but this was all just part of a larger program, which was the Trans-Avantgarde. And I think one of the arguments, okay, I like the colors he's got going here, and well, this is completely abstract, but somehow the little ceramic element adds a certain kind of poetic something to that. More untitled. This is 10 by 9. And I think there were some other people that were kind of tertiary members of the Italian Trans-Avantgarde. Fury and a couple of other people. Oh gosh, I'm looking and seeing this kind of a horse form in there, and I'm thinking this looks like some kind of one of the, I don't know what they call it, earth drawings that they have in Peru. I was going to say, I kind of like, Cucchi's got a good color sense. Anyway, right after the Italians, the new Germans, the Neue Wilden, came in with Baselitz and Lupertz and Immendorf and Kiefer and all those guys. Then the French came in, they had the Figuration Libre, all those people. And I guess what it all basically boiled down to, also untitled, this is 11 by 7 and 8. It all kind of said the American hegemony in the painting area was no longer going to stick with the Italians and the French and the Germans and the Dutch and the Swedes and the Danes and everyone else, the Africans, the Moroccans were going to come back and challenge the American hegemony. Okay, this is something a little bigger. Untitled Oil on Burlap, this is 17 by 62. Well, I went to all of the 3C shows. I think a lot of them were being shown at Speroni, Westwater, and Fisher at the time. I was down on Green Street, and I think Mary Boone showed some of them. I actually used to make paint deliveries to Sandro Chia. He had a huge studio on 23rd Street. And I believe that Sandro and Clemente actually moved to New York and now spend a lot of their time here. And I still see them around. Okay, this is interesting. I kind of like the nailing the tacks on the edge of that. Well, I would say that looking down along these rolls of paintings, that there are certain themes that are repeated, but I think Enzo is very good at coming up with fresh, interesting approaches to ideas. They might be things that he's done before, but he has a nice way of twisting things and making them look fresh. I think the theory with the Trans-Avantgarde was that, I guess the original, the historic avant-garde kind of ran out of gas or was decimated by the fascists, the totalitarians during World War II. And this new generation, I guess, coming of age in the late 60s into the 70s, we're going to rediscover a lot of historic things that hadn't been carried through because of the war. This is 15 by 14, 2025 oil and ceramic. Okay, this is fun. More untitled, 24 by 13. Actually, I kind of appreciate the way that these divided the painting from the ceramic wall sculpture part. Oh, and I just got a couple of sheetrock screws hanging that up. Nice. It's untitled. As I said, I saw a lot of the original shows, and I always kind of, this recalls some of the early Cuccis that I remember seeing. The skulls floating over houses in a dark landscape. I think the ceramics are actually a pretty integral part of Enzo's current body of work. And I always thought that he had a real nice touch for the paint. And I can see that he's carried over some of that into the beautiful glazes on the ceramics. And, well, Vito's father, Julian, would probably be considered the main proponent of the Trans-Avantgarde, the Neo-Expressionists. I think somebody even called them the Energist painters, the kind of the New York version of Neo-Expressionism. More untitled. This is 25 by 18. And so that's just on a little panel. This is untitled. Oh no, it's got a title. Giudizio, which means judgment, is 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. I appreciated Enzo's paint handling, and well, I think one of the other aspects is that Enzo always seemed more of a loner, maybe, an individualist, and I think that's one of the reasons why he hasn't shown here in 20 years. And I mean, I don't think he has a studio here in New York or in the United States. He may, but I think he's probably one of these people that has his little house out somewhere in the country and spends time there and does his work and doesn't worry about trying to make the scene. Okay, this is an interesting piece. Untitled. This is oil on ceramic. Okay, so even with these little paintings, he's got some pretty good painting passages. And I like the idea this is kind of stuck in a corner. I think one of the other aspects of the Trans-Avantgarde, the Neo-Expressionists, was that they looked at art history as like a giant library, maybe a giant heap of stuff that they could kind of pull parts out of and use what they needed. I was saying I like the coloristic aspect of this. Okay, and so they've got this little copper wire. And I don't have time to read it, but the press review talks about Cucchi's use of symbols and symbolism. And a lot of that goes back to some of the surrealists, and even before the surrealists, to the pittura metafisica, the metaphysical painters. A couple of nice little paintings here. These are both untitled 5 by 7s. Actually, the shadow box frames add a lot. Well, this is a great symbolic piece, untitled. I like it, the bluebirds with the skull behind them. It's 6 by 8. It's titled Bambola Doll. This is 9 by 61 inches. I guess that's linen. Untitled 2024 Oil and Ceramic on Canvas 79 by 83. Well, I guess Enzo was probably in his mid-late 70s by now. And they're talking about how when he was 36 years old, he got a one-person show at the Guggenheim, which is quite an accomplishment. You could probably go down the list and there would be less than a handful of other artists that have gotten that kind of recognition at that age. I was going to say, yeah, the skull is like a constantly repeated motif here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Untitled Oil and Ceramic on Burlap. See, I may have seen the first Sandro, or the first Enzo show. Is it Marion Goodman's gallery, maybe? Anyway, they say that, okay, so he not only got a one-man show at the Guggenheim at the age of 36, but he's also shown at MoMA, the Tate, and a bunch of other world-class museums. It's untitled. Okay, so he's got oil on canvas mounted on wood. That may be particle board. Kind of like the staining. And Enzo is very good at rendering his forms in a real kind of brusque, urgent way. It's untitled. I was actually thinking that looked like a piece of steel that had been cut out with a blowtorch, but it's ceramic. 15 by 7. Untitled. Canvas mounted on board, so we've got our skull again, and I kind of like the staining in the back. It's like a pistol grip there on the side. Also untitled. By 33. Also, we've got some of his marble sculptures here. It's kind of a revelation. I mean, I know that he was a talented artist, and I think that there were some of his earlier pieces where he had sculptural elements that were made out of maybe paper mache and things that he stuck on the paintings. But I haven't seen his marble sculpture before. It's untitled Pink Marble from Naples. It's like 7 7/8 by 17 by 10. Oh, this is an interesting piece. It's titled Pisca Caca Morori. Piss, shit, and die. Okay. Pisca Caca Morori. Piss, shit, and die is kind of like the old line between piss and shit we are born. Something like that. And after you're born, you just piss, shit, and die. And this is gray Berdigio marble. Actually, the way that Enzo has carved the hair in these is very impressive. Untitled 2022 white marble. Okay, looks like he's got a little scarab in his hand. And we're going to wrap up looking at this piece, untitled 2022. Sicilian red marble. So this is 12 by 13 by 7. So this is James Klam, the Menace, reporting on Enzo Cucchi, Mostra Coagula, here at the Vito Schnabel Gallery. You can like this, share, link it up to all your social media sites, and you can subscribe. And you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, reviews, and suggestions below. And my suggestion would be that you subscribe. And as we always say, even after 19 years of producing these videos for YouTube, we always like to say, not only thank you for watching, but thank you, Kate. Whoa! Thank you.